Today's soybeans surge. The dryness in Brazil is really driving this market. Interestingly enough, the rains that came last week kind of pushed the market a little bit lower, but now we found that it just wasn't enough and really gave the market a little bit of a lift. I think that analysts are saying that the consensus is they're going to drop the production rate. Now, these are all just like numbers that come out that they float back and forth all during the growing season. But with that in mind, that gave the market a little bit of a boost. Of course, it's the end of the week. The market was vulnerable to possibly a little bit of an upswing, and we got some good news, so that really was driving it higher. I think as we move towards the final session on Monday, I think you're going to see all the fund managers stepping in to kind of really balance their books. Corn was also on the rise, probably a little bit for the same reason. There has been some light buying, and that was enough to really lift prices. It was up almost 3.5 cents, and that's pretty good lately as of how things are going in corn. But you know what? It just seems that in spite of a lot of like the bearish news that's been out for corn, there hasn't been much really moving for them. The market still is ready to kind of push a little bit higher off its lows from the channel that it has been in. Now, wheat was up, and it's been in a little bit of oversold conditions, and that really brought in some buyers to give it somewhat of a rebound. It didn't really spring back all that much, but a few cents, and keeping it, well above that $5 benchmark that we had looked at for a while, but certainly well off the high of 538 of that March contract. That being said, that it looks like that we are, really trying to push this market higher, despite the fact that we have been having trouble being competitive around the world. Now, since our prices dropped a little bit lower, I think that makes it a little bit easier right now. But there hasn't been much going on. The markets are very thin, really light trading, and these are getting pushed around back and forth an awful lot. I expect that we're going to see things start to settle down right after the first of the year, and we'll be able to get a little bit better gauge on what our pricing model will be from that point on.